Another brick fan here with a look at a Lego architecture set. This is Sydney, Australia. This is set 21032 and was released in January 2017. Has 361 pieces, no minifigures, and cost about $30 when it was released. The Skyline includes the Sydney Tower. Next to that is the Deutsche Bank Place, followed by the Sydney Harbour Bridge. And then of course in front here is the most famous landmark in Sydney, which is the Sydney Opera House. The Sydney Tower I think looks really good. The base is done in this dark blue color with trans blue pieces in between the dark blue plates, which make for a nice looking base. And then we have some cone pieces that lead up to some Technic pins and Technic pieces that create the shape of the tower. I like the use of this metallic gold accenting here on the top that make the top of the tower look stand out quite well and look very similar to the pictures of the tower itself. Next to the tower is the Deutsche Bahn Tower, which is a really nice looking build with all of these white elements and then mixed in with these dark blue plates. The entire thing is made out of plates, and then of course some hinge pieces or 2x2s with bars, and then several clip pieces which allow these rails or bar pieces to be attached to give it that texture that you see in the photo. The Harbour Bridge is also very nicely done. So the water underneath is done with the trans blue. The water underneath the Harbour Bridge is done with trans blue tiles on top of black plates, which give it that interesting water look. There are a couple of 1x2s with teeth there in the harbor, perhaps representing some sailboats or maybe some land mass underneath the bridge. I like how the columns on either end of the bridge are built up. They're done with 1x1 bricks, but also using the stud on the side bricks to allow for the attachment of those 1x4 plates to give it a more finished look. The curvature of the bridge here is done using some clip pieces, just kind of alternating clips and rail pieces to give it that nice sloped look. I like how they use different size bar pieces here to represent the cable bridge. I think it turned out really nicely. The Opera House, of course, looks really good. I like the color scheme with the white and tan, very simple color scheme, but I think it represents the Opera House quite well. Everything is on these slopes. And then we have these nice sloped pieces that come out and over, which give it that very good look of the actual Opera House itself. So I think that was really well done. There is a full-size Sydney Opera House architectural set, which uses a similar technique to create all of the angles for the Opera House itself. Moving around to the back. Like most of the architectural Skyline series, these are definitely designed to be viewed from one angle. In this case, you barely see the Opera House at all from the back. The buildings and bridge look pretty much the same from both sides because they are very symmetrically built. The tower, of course, is pretty much the same from all angles, and then the front and the back of the back of the Deutsche Bahn Tower is exactly the same. You can still see the building techniques there using the clips to hold the bars in place, and then a lot of plates alternating from the dark blue and the white. Overall, I really like this representation of the Sydney Skyline. The builds are all very solid and look pretty accurate to the pictures of the different buildings that they represent. Always difficult to do in this micro scale. I think the color choices were spot on. That metallic gold looks really good on the Sydney Tower there. The Sydney Opera House, I think, looks quite accurate. I think anybody with a casual glance looking at that has seen the Sydney Opera House, pictures of that, would recognize it immediately. It's interesting that they chose to use the Harbour Bridge as the majority of this model. I mean, it takes up about 2/3 of the actual length of the model. However, the build looks quite good for the bridge, and it does show the big Sydney Harbor, which is one of the main attractions for the Sydney area. Hope you've enjoyed my thoughts on this architectural skyline. I'm going to get started on my next video, and until then, happy building. If you enjoyed my review, hit that like button and subscribe to my channel to get more of my content. I've left a link to my architecture playlist up here on the screen.